Here's Brody Brazil.
Now, the A's all along, when they talked about Howard Terminal, they said they wanted to build a waterfront ballpark. It had to be a ballpark village. It had to include 3,000 units of housing, obviously some residential, the commercial. It had to include a little bit of everything. It was going to be its own district, a waterfront ballpark district just north of Jack London Square. It had to be more than just a ballpark to be viable from a construction standpoint, from a payment standpoint. And I understand that's what a lot of new projects are doing. Look at Atlanta and the Battery at Truist Park. I totally understand. You want to build more than a stadium. You want to build an experience, but also something that does well financially for the project. What's crazy about all of this, and especially with recent developments, is now the A's, instead of doing 55 acres at Howard Terminal, which a lot of people thought was cramped to begin with. I mean, I've walked the site at Howard Terminal, and I'll tell you from being there, you're like, how's a big league stadium going to fit on these 55 acres? Well, the answer is it easily could. It's more spacious than it seems. But 55 acres compared to the, I kid you not, 9 acres that the Tropicana Hotel site is going to provide the A's for this project. There is no way you're fitting anything more than a baseball stadium on 9 acres. In fact, you're going to have even a tough time doing that. You know, stadiums with 9 acres, that's like Fenway Park and Wrigley Field. Even Oracle Park in San Francisco, which I'm not saying is cramped, but I'm saying they use all square inches of land. Like they use every square foot of land they can on that project, and that's still 12.5 acres. Target Field is advertised as 8.5 acres, and they recently built it. Beautiful ballpark for the Minnesota Twins, but what they don't tell you is that there are 2 additional acres which actually hang over train tracks and nearby roads so that the site is actually more like 10.5. Getting a brand new ballpark on 9 acres, yeah, probably doable, but the ballpark is going to be it. So it's interesting now how the preference and the priority of the A's, when it used to be ballpark, development around it, has now turned into 9 acres only. On the Strip, don't get me wrong, it's going to be a busy location, and I mean busy in a sense of tourists. I don't know how locals are going to prefer a ballpark on the Strip. Traffic might be an issue, ingress, egress. I mean, if we talked about all that stuff for Howard Terminal, what's an EIR going to look like for the Tropicana Hotel site and 35,000 people going in and out 81 times a year? So preferences and priorities for the project changing. Again, I don't, it's interesting how that's changed. And maybe that's an evolution, but in reverse, if you needed to do the project one way, it certainly seems like now there's the ability or the desire to do it a totally different way. Okay, can this ballpark even be built for $1.5 billion? But look, the same could have been said about Howard Terminal. That was a $1 billion project. Was that price going to go up over time? The answer is, who knows? But I'm confused on how do you know that's the right amount right here, right now? Allegiant Stadium, which is twice the size, right? Seats 70-something thousand, also does not have a retractable roof. So this is kind of apples and oranges. But even that cost $1.9 billion 3 years ago. And prices have changed, prices have gone up. So it's hard to really know. I mean, this goes for all teams in all locations, but how do you really know that you can do this for $1.5 billion? My thought is there's no way you can do it. And especially you can't do it in Las Vegas. You know why? Everything you do in Vegas has to be Vegas level. Like they're building this MSG Sphere. It's a concert venue more north on the Strip, actually off the Strip. But, I mean, they're literally building a sphere, the shape of a golf ball, basketball, whatever, but that is the concert venue. There's no speakers. The whole ceiling is one big speaker. Like, my point is, when you do something in Las Vegas here, you've got to do something magical. If $1.5 billion builds you the most bare bones baseball park, that's not enough on the Strip of Las Vegas. Think about the bad hotels on the Strip. those are the ones that they want to tear down. You have to build something that is extravagant and elaborate and knocks people's socks off. Could you build a ballpark for $1.5 billion with a retractable roof? I'm certain you can. It might look like a Home Depot or a Lowe's warehouse store, but you could do it. But to do it up to Vegas standards, I don't know. I don't know. And if you add on another, $500 million of cost here, I mean, if the A's are really strapped in how much they can spend or how much public money they will or won't get, I mean, going from $1.5 billion to $2 billion quickly, like it totally changes the tune and tone of the project and what you're doing.